have a story, you want a reading, you want me to help you with your life, you have a health problem that you can't put your finger on, and you're like, why is my shoulder constantly in problem? And you want me to read it and you want me to get into it. I'm not that medical expert, but I can tell you where the emotion is attached to it. I think you'll be surprised at how powerful that is. So I would love to hear from you. Go to lisawilliams.com/podcast-guest and we will get you on the show.
Hi everyone. Before we begin, I want to let you know that this podcast is for informational and inspirational purposes only. The advice and insights shared here are based on my personal experiences and expertise, but they are not a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, or business advice. If you are dealing with a specific issue, please consult a qualified expert. And thanks for watching.
Welcome to Hope, Healing and Transformation. I'm Lisa Williams, and today we're talking about something that might make you a little uncomfortable. Boundaries. Yes, that simple word that can bring up guilt, fear, anxiety for so many of us. But here's the thing. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful acts of self-love that you can practice. And boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about making space for what truly matters. And here's something I want you to remember, not just today, but every day. You are the most important person in your life. Please remember that. So let me tell you, for years, I thought I was the expert on boundaries. I really did. In my business life, I was absolutely crystal clear on what I would and wouldn't say yes to. And I'd learned that from my years in doing TV. I realized what I would tolerate and what I wouldn't, and how to manage my energy. And I learned those lessons, trust me, the hard way. When I was burnt out after trying to support a community I loved and I cared about, I promised after that incident I would never let that happen to me again. And truly, professionally, I didn't. My boundaries in business became so rock solid. I had these boundaries. I had people around me to support me. But then I actually realized my personal life was something completely different. I found myself allowing people to treat me badly. I was saying yes to things when I really didn't want to do these things. I let others drown my energy, and I was struggling to understand why. And I remember sitting with a friend of mine, and she said, "Why are you letting this happen?" And I was fighting to try and find the answer. And I thought, is it loyalty? Is it this? Is it that? And then it hit me really hard. I was prioritizing other people's feelings over my own well-being. And that was the moment that it became a turning point. I realized that my personal boundaries are just as important as professional ones. And honestly, sometimes even more so. So today we're going to talk about why boundaries are critical for emotional and spiritual well-being. And listen, there's common myths about our boundaries that keep us stuck, really keep us stuck where we are. And I'm going to walk you through some simple exercises to help you set and stick to these boundaries that protect your energy and, of course, nourish your soul. So let's get right into it. So these emotional and spiritual boundaries, let's talk about this. We have to protect our energy from external demands. Now, what does that mean? We have to look after ourselves from people pulling on us, whether it's your friend needing to help you, in my case, decorate their house, because that's what I love. I love decorating. I love DIY. I love all of that stuff. But my friends go, do you mind? You're my decorator. And it's not just one friend. It's all of them. It's a lot of my friends. So their need for me, because I'm good at something, and they feel like I can help them, is great. But that takes away my time where I just want to sit and do nothing, or I want to sit and plan something, or I want to sit and write my book. It takes away from that. There are external demands such as our children. I have 2 of them. My children are older, but they're demanding. I also have, which reminds me, where's my son? I haven't spoken to him in a while. It's like, those demands are important. Our demands from our spouses. Even though I haven't heard from my husband in a few days because he's doing some army thing and he's, doing some big boy army stuff, the demand is still there, or the energy is still there. The thought of I should. Well, actually, that's where me and my husband differ. We don't ever do I should in our relationship. It is I want. And so that's where I've really learned my boundaries. We have these I should, would, could. And what we do is we drain ourselves. And that drain is really hard for our emotional being. We can't do it. Now, there's science behind it. And I am going to talk a lot about this in this show, not necessarily this show, in future shows, because this is the part that I see all the time. Being a psychic medium and having people come to me and, I'm working in their energy and I'm working with their stress and I'm working with their illnesses, I see where their stress has caused physical problems. It has caused autoimmune disease. It has caused cancer. It has caused all of these high, chronic illnesses, this high stress, and that their body has literally stayed in fight or flight and they've not been able to get out of it. And then, of course, we get sick. Now, there is science behind it. Chronic stress from lack of boundaries triggers the release of cortisol and adrenaline. Okay, they're neurochemicals in our brain. And these neurotransmitters, they are leading to physical exhaustion. They're leading to brain fog. They're leading to autoimmune dysfunction. This is not just Lisa Williams coming out with this information. These are studies that are done and they are out there. It is huge. So I want you to recognize that when you do not have boundaries and you are putting everybody else first, you are putting your own physical health into question. You are compromising it. My mom was a great advocate of this, okay? And I'll tell you about her. She's fabulous. Now, other studies have shown that people who regularly set boundaries, okay, experience lower stress levels and greater emotional resilience. Think about that. Those people who have learned to say no are actually less stressed. It's true. It's unbelievable. From a spiritual perspective, when we're constantly without receiving or our energy field becomes depleted, making it harder to connect to our intuition and our higher guidance. So we actually need to have what I call our love tank filled. Okay? When we are constantly like give, and we're not saying thank you or receiving back, it's hard for us. You know, I'm a big advocate. In fact, this has been really hard for me. I have given so much, and I remember saying so many times, I am just depleted, but I want to give. And I say it to my students, I'm like, why do you want to be psychics and mediums? And like, I just want to help people. Well, that's great, but your inner why, your why has to be, what is it giving you? I am the most important person in my life. You are the most important person in your life. What is it giving back to you? There has to be something, and it's more than I want to help people. Because listen, guys, I want to help people. I've dedicated my life to it. But when my love tank is not being filled, then I can't give. And I'll tell you something that really significant happened to me today. As I said, my husband is away. I haven't spoken to him in days. It's been a really tough time because there's stuff that's been going on, and my person is unavailable. And that's okay, because I can't just rely on one person. We just can't. But then, just before I started the show, the doorbell rang. And it was somebody who was standing there, the sweetest guy. And he was this little guy, and he's holding this bouquet of flowers. And I was so touched. Today's an important day. And I was so touched that literally I burst into tears. And I said, thank you. Thank you. Because I received. I didn't say I don't deserve it. I appreciated it, and I appreciated that my friends wanted to do something really significant for me. It was about filling my love tank, okay? So we have to remember that you are the most important person in your life, and you can't pour from an empty cup. So let's start diving in to these myths to really help you understand the truth and the myth behind some boundaries. So let's talk about myth number 1. Boundaries are selfish. Boundaries are not selfish. They're really not. The truth is that boundaries are self-care. They really are. You can't pour from an empty cup. If your love tank is depleted, then how are you going to give? It's just not going to happen. All right. It really is not going to happen. Now, number 2, people will get mad. Well, I'm just going to say that's their problem. And some people may get mad. But if they do, then they are not right for you. The right people are going to respect that. The right people will understand it as long as you communicate your needs the right way. If you're not communicating your needs the right way, then fine. But you need to be very clear. Okay? Now, number 3. The myth is it's easier to say yes. Well, actually, for sure. In the short term, it is. But in the long term, saying yes to everything leads you to exhaustion. It leads you to burnout. It leads you to resentment. It leads you to being disconnected from your own needs. Simple needs such as sleep, water, food, and safety, those simple basic needs that we all need, it can lead you away from that. So let's look at this. When you honor your own self, okay, when you're honoring that, you are sending this whole message out to the universe saying that you matter, because you do. And irrespective of whether you've got children, whether you are a caregiver, whether you have a needy spouse, a needy husband or wife or partner or job, you are the most important person in your life. And if you do not put yourself first, how can you serve everyone else? Time to start listening. My mom, I love her to bits. Okay, I'm very fortunate that I still have both of my parents. And over the years, I have heard so many stories about parents that were not there for their children, who were unsupportive, whatever they may be. I have heard time and time again these stories. Now, in my own self, I thought that my parents, when I was younger, I was like, God, my parents were working. I was sent off to my grandparents. I was doing this, that, and the other. I didn't have my parents. But I am going to tell you now, when I look back and after doing reading after reading after reading and working with deep, deep trauma, I realize that my parents are the greatest people that I have in my life. And when I look at that, my parents have done everything. But let me explain this. My mom, all right? I adore my parents. My mom taught me the greatest lesson. And she used to say this thing that used to piss me off. I used to say, Mom, I want to do this. She's like, no. I'd be like, Mom. And she would say, please yourself. And she'd say it in this tone that made me feel like I shouldn't do it. She'd like, oh, please yourself, Lisa. You're going to anyway. But the more actually she said it, the more I got back into, I started to analyze it when I was older, the more I actually realized that my mum taught me the greatest lesson by saying that. And it used to irritate the crap out of me. But I realized that what she was doing is she was saying, you make your own choices in life, Lisa. You make your own choices. And even though I probably know best, because I'm your mom, because I'm actually going to say this, Mom is always right. Or she has been for me. That my mom was going to let me have my own decision. And she taught me that. And now, honestly, she taught me what I want. She taught me that space to set my boundaries. And it was healthy. My mom is the type of person, she never wants to be a burden. In fact, I sometimes wish that she would be. She never wants to be a burden. She never wants to put on anybody. She never wants anybody to do things for her. It's all about she will do what is right for her. My mom has the biggest boundaries. I'll be honest with you. You do not want to cross my mother. She is like, oh, you do not want to cross her. But she has boundaries that are very, very set. And one of the things that I love is that she's taught me these boundaries. And when I was going through, let me tell you this, my boundaries were completely unbalanced. I wanted to help, and I was in a community where they were struggling. I wanted to help. I wanted to give. My business life was running so good. Listen, I can run the business. It was really good. And I thought, if I can take this business acumen and bring it into this corporation, I feel like this business can help. But all I had was constant darts thrown at me. Darts, nasty comments. In fact, I almost left being a medium because of it. Because of the ridicule, because of the bullying, because of the way I was treated, because of the way I was spoken about. And I will share with you, I kept going back because my ego wanted to prove that I could do it. I could do it. And it broke me. It broke me to the point because I could not say no, that I almost walked away from a 30-year career as one of the top psychic mediums in the world. I almost walked away from it because I let somebody else's opinion of me govern how I saw myself, because I had lowered these boundaries to a point that I did not know what was real and what was fake. And I was being gaslit by all of these people in this area. Now, not everybody, you can't tar everyone with the same brush, but I will tell you, it broke me. And there was a point that I had gotten a new job. I'd actually gotten a job. Can you believe that? And it was my assistant. So it was my assistant, the marketing person, and my husband. And this was really powerful. And everybody was like, are you really going to give it up? I'm done. I'm giving up being a medium. I'm giving it up. And that was a really hard space for me. I had walked away from this community. I'd walked away from being in the helping situation. And I was going to give up. And actually, it was my husband said, you've got to find something. You have to find something. You cannot stop. And between my husband, my assistant, and the marketing guy said to me, you've got to find a way. And I sat in my storage unit reading every card, every letter that I had been given over the last 10 to 12 years. From you, those of you who are listening that used to follow me back when I was on Lifetime, when I was on Oprah, when I did all of these TV shows, I read every card, every letter, email. I went back and looked at how I had transformed lives. Because I was going to give all of that up because somebody else's opinion, because I had lowered my boundaries to such a point that I didn't even believe in who I was anymore. So I just want to say thank you to all of you for allowing me to see that in me through you. And it was a small thing. It seemed small, just reading these letters, reading these, the cards. It seems really small, but I can tell you, in fact, I'm looking around and I've got a couple of cards down here because I keep all of these things for moments like that. And I realized it was driving me, and it was keeping me down. And so I had to say, I'm done. I am done. I need freedom from these chains. That's all I needed. I needed to go back to my why I was doing this. And I learned the word no. I stopped. I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it anymore. And then I toughened my boundaries up. My husband helped me. My staff helped me. Everybody helped me. And I toughened up my act when it came to my personal side. To the point that actually my boundaries were getting me into trouble. They really were. I had guilt. Did I have guilt? Absolutely. I had so much guilt. Did I have fear that no one would like me? Oh, you have no idea. It was like, I was like, this is going against who Lisa Williams is. This is going against who I am. And then I started to think, if I don't have self-respect, if I don't have these boundaries, if I don't say no, how are other people going to learn from me? How can I be that person that other people look up to if I'm not doing something that I tell other people to do? It just wasn't happening. And so I had to realize that I was the most important person in my life and that I had to set these boundaries. So I did. And do people still like me in that community? Yes, but no, who cares? I don't care. You know, do you guys like me? I don't know. Maybe you do. You're watching for a reason. You're listening for a reason. I don't know. It's not my opinion. It's none of my business what you think of me. None of my business at all. What my business is what I think of myself. And it happened recently where I am driving, I remember it. I'm driving over a bridge here and my friend turned to me and said, "Why do you have this person in your life? Every time you talk about them, you say to me, they drive you insane. Why do you have this person in your life?" And I went, why do I have them in my life? And that's a good question. Because I'll tell you, they put me in a very, very compromising situation recently. I got very, very upset over something recently. And I'm like, yeah, why? So there's a need. This person serves something in me. I don't know what it is. Is it loyalty? Is it guilt? Is it the fact that, I don't know what it is. But once I find out what it is, then I can then address it. Now, I'm not saying that you should be cutting everybody out of your life, okay? I'm not saying this. What I'm saying is that you have to understand or try to work out why this person or why these people are doing this and what it's serving you. What is it serving? That's the part. And then you can replace it. Then you can move through it. That's the key. So when I look at that community, what that community was doing for me is it was making me feel validated. It was making me feel like I had an importance and that I knew what I was doing. It was making me feel like I could achieve something. I could help them achieve something. And it really had this, part of it was ego. I didn't want anything from it. I didn't need anything from it. I certainly didn't want to take my school there. I certainly didn't want to be whatever everybody thought I wanted to be. But it was serving something in me that I was not finding from anywhere else. And once I realized what it was, then I can go, And then I started to change it. And by changing it, which again, it wasn't easy, I then realized, hey, I'm able to move forward. You have to find that in you. No one else is going to do it for you. You have to find it in you. So let's talk about how we get our boundaries. Let's do this little exercise. Let's do it together. So what I want you to do is I want you to grab one of these good old pieces of, pen and a piece of paper. Super easy. And you're just going to sit quietly. And you're just going to reflect for a minute. So let's do this together. Let's really help you understand how you can create boundaries here. And this is just a simple exercise, a simple guide. And you know what I'm going to do? I can't believe I'm actually going to say this. I'm going to create a download for you. So we're going to add a link in here. You're going to click on the download and we are going to create this blueprint that you can download at any time to kind of help you. All right. So that's number one. So let's do this simple exercise. Okay. If you can't do it now, come back to it. Pause this right now, but this is going to help you. I want you to grab a good old pen and a paper. Okay. There's something about a pen and paper that really, really works. And I want you to just sit quietly with your thoughts, all right? So I want you to just close your eyes right now. Just relax your body. Take a deep breath. Just breathe. And now I want you to ask yourself, where in my life do I feel the most drained? And I want you to trust what is the first thing that comes to you. And you may want to write a list of things that are coming up to you. You don't have to make it a long thing. It's not a journaling exercise. It's just, where do I feel the most drained in my life? And now what we're going to do is we're going to protect your energy. And we're going to protect this energy by doing something super easy, okay? And we're going to call it the glass cube. And I love this exercise. Many of my students have used it. It's a phenomenal exercise. You are going to imagine glass, like a good 2 inches thick, around you. You're going to imagine that it's coming up from the floor, around you, over the top of your head, under your feet. And you are going to feel really rock solid in that cube of energy. You're staying in your energy because your energy field is so powerful. So I want you to imagine this glass cube. And I want you to visualize your energy being contained in this glass cube, in this area. And I want you to imagine that it's unbreakable. And now I want you to imagine that you're standing in this glass cube and your energy is bouncing off here and you're strong. And I want you to think about the one thing that is draining you. And I want you to imagine yourself, think about it, feel it, see it, hear it, experience it. Think about yourself saying no to that one thing that feels draining. Just take a deep breath and breathe. And what I want you to do is notice how your body feels as you reclaim your power in this moment. Feels good, doesn't it? Feels really, really good. And so feel that strength, feel that empowerment, feel that resilience, that I'm important, my feelings matter. Yeah, listen, you don't have to get cocky with it, but you're reclaiming your power. And now what I want you to do is you're going to write down one thing now that you are going to say no to this week. Just one thing. Don't start feeling guilty right now. And then you're going to write down one thing you're going to say yes to. So one thing you're saying no to, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a vacation you've agreed to take, whatever it is. And then you're going to say yes to something that brings you peace and joy and happiness and healing and transformation and hope. And I want you to look down and I want you to recognize the emotions behind it. What is that? Are you going to get freedom by saying yes to something and happiness? You are. You're going to feel free, alive. But also, are you getting freedom by saying no? Probably. Feels different, but it's freeing. And as you finish, I want you to remind yourself right now, and actually, I want you to write these words down so you remember it. I have it written on my computer screen. I am the most important person in my life. I want you to write those words down. I am the most important person in my life. And I want you to have that somewhere, whether you stick it on your fridge, your mirror, your computer, your phone, whatever it is, I want you to see it. And I want you to honor that truth, because it changes everything. So let's talk about this, okay? These boundaries aren't barriers. They're bridges to the life that you want to live. They really are. Now, this week, I want you to give yourself permission to say no without any guilt, okay? Whatever it is that you feel intuitively, let's use that intuition, that you need to say no to, do it without guilt. I did it recently. I had to say to my friend, I am helping you with your move, but you need to get movers because this body's a little bit too old. It's not quite the body that it used to be. And you're too old too. And we need some muscle. And let's get some movers in. And you know what? I didn't put my foot down, but I made them realize that this is a boundary. We have to take care of ourselves. I'm the most important person in my life. And if you want me to show up in your life in the way that you need me to, I cannot do this. So therefore, let's find an alternative way around it. So therefore, I'm able to do what you want me to do. And I'm telling you, it changed everything. All right. So give yourself permission to say no to something without guilt. Your well-being matters. Truly it does. And with that, no one can take care of your energy like you can. No one can. Remember, you're the most important person in your life. So I would love you to share this. Share this with your friends. Share this with your family. Like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do. And also, let's share this. I want you to start telling me your wins. Put it on Instagram, social media, TikTok, Facebook, all of the usual outlets, YouTube. I want you to start telling me what you have said no to this week. Let's celebrate each other, because this is not always an easy thing to do, but I want you to celebrate each other. I want you to be each other's cheerleader. Okay. And of course, if you have any questions that you want me to answer, please let me know for future episodes. I would love to have that. And I would love to have you on my show. Yes, you listening to me going, I don't know. If you have a story, you want a reading, you want me to help you with your life, you have a health problem that you can't put your finger on, and you're like, why is my shoulder constantly in problem? And you want me to read it and you want me to get into it. I'm not that medical expert, but I can tell you where the emotion is attached to it. I think you'll be surprised at how powerful that is. So I would love to hear from you. Go to lisawilliams.com/podcast-guest. And we will get you on the show, okay? So next time, we're going to talk about rediscovering joy and creativity and why play might just be the missing piece that you need in your own healing journey. So thank you for joining me today. And remember, hope is not a wish. It's a decision to believe in something better. Together, we're going to find hope and make it a reality. And so until next time, take care of yourself stand tall, honor your boundaries, and keep shining your light. And I'm going to drum this home. You are the most important person in your life.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, the information shared on this podcast is meant to inspire and support you, but it's not a replacement for personalized advice from a qualified professional. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to tune in next time. Until then, take care and keep believing in something better.